This is my afternoon visit to Pilot Mountain, which is 20 miles northwest of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I started at the Visitor Center off Highway 52. Next time I think I might try the Pilot Creek access, which is a bit up the road. I've actually been to Pilot Mountain a few years before during COVID with the family, as you'll see here in a few pictures. That was a fun trip. It was really hot though because it was July. Since it was already 5 p.m., I took a short hike on the Grassy Ridge Trail. It's actually a pretty nice trail. There are a couple creeks you can step over fairly easily. Actually some pretty good elevation gain as you were going up. Since it was already past 5 p.m. and I knew I was a bit short on time in racing the sun, I did actually run a portion of this trail just to get far enough along to where I could hopefully get a view of the mountain in the background. You'll see that here in a bit. After I got back from walking on the Grassy Ridge Trail, I got in the car and drove up Pilot Knob Park Road up to the top where the overlook is and the little Pinnacle Trail. Alright, so here we are at the top of the overlook. There was actually really good parking. I just didn't get any of it on video, but there was plenty of spaces. The Moravians were German religious settlers who founded the Bethabara settlement in what is now Winston-Salem. They are considered to be the first Protestants, predating the Lutherans by about 100 years. The Moravians followed John Hus, who was a Bohemian heretic and was subsequently burned at the stake in 1415. Many of their buildings remain in the Old Salem Historic District of Winston-Salem. The Old Salem Historic District does reenactments of that period. It's actually a really cool experience, and if you're anywhere near the Winston-Salem area, I'd highly recommend checking it out. This placard also mentions the Yadkin River, which you can see down in the valley. This placard also mentions the Stony Ridge community, which was an African-American community in the late 1800s. I had a hard time finding online information about the family listed here on the placard, Billy and Jane Cundiff. Apparently their farmland is in what is now called the Horn Creek Farm State Historic Site. The Cundiffs established a school and a church, along with their son Adam, who was one of the first teachers. The Cundiffs' cabin is on the Corridor Trail, which connects to the Pilot Mountain State Park. The views of the Yadkin River from this vantage point are pretty fantastic. It was a bit hazy this day, but you can still see pretty much every farm, road, and every field. At this point, I started walking up the Little Pinnacle Trail. It's a short trail that leads up to an overlook where you can look directly at the Big Pinnacle. You'll see all of these insects flying around up here near the top of the Little Pinnacle. These are apparently taconid flies, according to AI. These insects come up to the top of Little Pinnacle in what is known as hilltopping to look for mates. Who would have ever known? Who would have guessed? From the Little Pinnacle observation deck, you have a very good view of the Big Pinnacle, and also directly behind it, the Soratown Mountain. Behind that is Hanging Rock State Park, which hopefully I can get to a bit later, maybe during the summer. The birds you see soaring here on the right-hand side of the Big Pinnacle are most likely turkey vultures, although broad-winged hawks, ravens, and also bald eagles are seen here from time to time. From here I hiked on the Pinnacle Knob Trail, which is about 1/8 of a mile. It's a little bit hard to spot this trail. It's on the left-hand side of the Little Pinnacle Trail, and you have to look for it. If you didn't have a map, you might miss it. The Pilot Knob Trail leads across the ridge up to the Big Pinnacle and then around the edge. Since I was running out of daylight and I wanted to catch the sunset, which is on the opposite side of the mountain, I walked a portion of the Pinnacle Knob Trail up to where it begins to turn around the corner on the Big Pinnacle. Next time I come back, I'll also have to check out the Ledge Spring Trail, which is on the south side of the mountain. The Big Pinnacle is a monadnock, a hard quartzite rock formation that resisted erosion, while the surrounding land wore down into a flat plain. The Big Pinnacle rises 1,400 feet up from the floor of the Yadkin Valley. And although it's probably not geologically identical to the Devil's Tower in Wyoming, it sure does give off a Close Encounters type vibe. After I finished the Pinnacle Knob trail, I came back up to the parking lot and where the overlook is to try and catch the sunset. I had a pretty obstructed view from that location, and then I noticed some kids running down Grindstone Trail, and I figured they knew better than me. The Grindstone Trail actually turned out to be a beautiful trail walking down that as the sun was setting in the distance. I reached Three Bears Gully, which had a terrific view of the sunset. And this pretty much wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed this late afternoon hike to Pilot Mountain. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification bell to get more updates from my channel.